Hi, I'm Kylie Spain, and we're here today for WVLT, your community station. In June of 1950, North Korea attacked South Korea, starting the Korean War. The United States soon after joined to help South Korea. With us today, we have George Stuart, a Korean War veteran, to share his experiences. Did you go to school before you served?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go to school?
In Manhattan.
Did you grow up in Manhattan?
Yes, I was born and bred and raised in Manhattan. I went in the Marine Corps when I was 17.
George, Jim Verhagen, WVLT. First, I want to say thank you for being a veteran and giving us the way we live today. Thank you. My name is Jim Verhagen.
No, you said, did I ever W? What? You said W something.
Oh, I'm with the Watervliet Housing Authority. But I want to say thank you for being a vet, and so these young people can enjoy the freedoms that they have. And I'll ask you again, George, what branch of the U.S. service were you in?
United States Marine Corps.
Semper Fi. And you got out of, where did you actually do your boot camp? Paris?
Paris Island? Yeah. From January 52 to April 52.
And April 52 was the armistice was signed, and
No, that's when I got out of boot camp.
when you got out of boot camp. Oh, April 53.
The armistice was July.
53, right.
I had to wait till I was 18 before they could send me over there. Because you can't go into combat in the Marine Corps until you're 18.
Most of what history teaches, most of the bigger battles were done in 51 and the first part of 52. There were a lot of battles going on and pushing back and forth at the 38th parallel.
53 is when they didn't get what they wanted at the talks, the peace talks. Right. Then all the Chinese would attack the outposts. And I don't know if you ever heard of Reno, Vegas, or Carson.
Yes.
I was on Carson.
Was that the only action you saw? Now, you were in the Marines, and the Marines were always the front.
I got there December 5th, 1952, and they keep you behind the lines for a week. Then they send you up on the lines. And I was in Hill at 181, and there was a lot of patrols and stuff, and we did everything at night.
George, what was your opinion of the Chinese troops?
Well, the United States has a thing about sending the prime of their youth, and they send the garbage, all the stuff, the other countries, like what's happening now with, the civilians, the guys that go commit suicide with the bombs and everything. And our troops are the cream, and they're sending the garbage. That's what I call it. Chinese did the same thing. They came across the border up in Chosin with 300,000. The Marines, they retreated. Yeah, excuse me. I get emotional with this.
Yeah.
Because I lost a lot of friends over there. And the Chinese came, and everyone saw it. MacArthur wanted to cross the Yalu, and they wouldn't let him. So 2 men fired him. And they don't call it a war. They call it Harry Truman's police action. All right, so that's all. So I was there from December till November.
And I know MacArthur was fired in March of 50, right? And I think it was what did you serve under, like General? I think it was Matt Ridgway, or who was the Marine commander?
I really don't. Oh, Pike, I think his name was, because I met him. Right. We made a landing on one of the islands, and he came there, and also General Edson, because his son was our company commander. Oh. So I met him.
Good. Oh, very good. I'll have somebody else ask some questions.
Hi, I'm Jessica Kelsey, and I'm also with WVLT. Nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. I was just wondering, you were enlisted, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, when you enlisted, did you ever think a few times to yourself that maybe you got yourself into something that you couldn't actually handle in the long run?
Yes.
Did it cross your mind daily?
After I got out of boot camp, everything was good. Boot camp, I wanted to go home.
Would you go back and relive it if you could?
Yes.
Also, I'm actually joining the Army National Guard. And I was wondering, like, on your opinion of women's roles back when you were enlisted.
Well, we had the women Marines. We called them something else. But anyway, they did mostly paperwork and, stuff like that. There was no combat for them. And the only other ones, because Marine Corps was supposedly part of the Navy, and the nurses were over there, and that was their job, Back, like you ever see MASH? That's a mobile army surgical hospital, and the Navy had the doctors and the nurses who were over there. They didn't see combat, but now in Afghanistan, you got to watch it, because they got all the stuff that they took off the Russians. Because people don't know, in 53, 54, the Russians were in Afghanistan, and they couldn't beat them. They had to pull out. So they left all of the weapons there, and that's what the IEDs are now. That's what they set up the bombs, and then they set up so they can be set up with I guess a cell phone or something. I was never exposed to that. The stuff we got was coming through the air.
Also, I'd like to ask, when you came back home, did you have any trouble adapting to being back at home?
Yeah, what they call now is that SPTD, whatever it was. Yeah. Well, we solved it by getting drunk every day.
All right, my last question for you is, do you have any advice for me going into the military?
Yeah. Kept saying, be careful. Watch your back. Do what your officers tell you. And what the guys who've been there, the veterans, tell you. And watch your back. And if you see something on the side, and if you're in a vehicle, tell the guy who's on a machine gun, blow it away.
All right, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Hi, I'm Nathan Spam. Did you meet many people from around the world when you were in the war?
Well, I was only in Korea and Japan. And I was in Japan for 5 days. And I was too busy that I wasn't meeting people. But in Korea, we met, the Koreans. And we had the Korean Marines with us. That's it. I was in Quantico. When I got a boot camp, I went to Quantico. That's where the FBI is. We trained the FBI and the OC, the officers, the new officers. And that's why I volunteered. When I turned 18, I volunteered for Korea.
How do you feel about the recent acts of aggression by North Korea?
They better do something about it. Quick. Otherwise, you tell them we'll do what we did to them in the 50s. We go over there and kick their butts. Until the Chinese came in, that's what we were doing.
Thank you.
George, I want to tell you, it's an honor. It's an honor meeting you. That's all I can say. You veterans, it's believe me, it's an honor, and I thank you once again. Couple of questions I just want to ask you quick. What do you think about Mac or MacArthur?
MacArthur, I think he was a great general. I never saw you, and he was gone when I got there. I think Truman had already fired him because he wanted to cross the Yellow, and Truman wouldn't let him. But I think he was a great general. So
A lot of people think his invasion at Incheon was one of the most brilliant military strategical moves in U.S. history, if not the world history.
If you know anything about Incheon at all, the tides are so good. If you don't go at the right time, you're in mud from place. And the Marines first, when they get in, they had to take that once on island before they went down. So they did that the day before the landing. But he did an amazing job.
Shortly after MacArthur was fired and Ridgway took over, Truman lost the election to Ike. What was your opinion, Ike?
He was good in Europe where he belonged because he was a dog. He was a good general, too.
Yeah, and they were, MacArthur and him were the only 5-star generals, I guess, that actually were in that theater.
Yeah. Well, I got his first, and then they finally gave one to MacArthur, because the Philippines, he really took over the Philippines. Yeah. He was good.
Yeah, and like you said before, that was a really good answer. I like that. The Chinese, just like the Russians would send their low-grade soldiers in first, where we sent our cream in right from the get-go. And
the low-class garbage, and we're sending the cream of the crop.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand. The Chinese, like you said, 350,000.
800 million Chinese, and a lot of them are not high class like the ones you see on television. They're the ones Mao did good for them because he was giving the old people a little stretch of land where they had their own garden and they could grow their own vegetables. But he was also, and they should have learned from the Second World War. Because the communists, when they didn't have the Japanese to fight, they would fight the American soldiers. A lot of people don't know that because they don't read history.
A lot of people don't realize that.
They don't teach history in school anymore. It's called social studies, I think.
I think that the two wars like Korea was called the Forgotten War. A lot of people forget about it, like the War of 1812 or,
Had somebody serving you, and they didn't even know what was going on.
Right.
So, what can I tell you?
And I know a lot of people don't realize that the Chinese, the political parties there, you had Mao and you had Chiang Kai-shek, which was pro-American, and we fought with the Chinese against the Japanese. And what you said about if the communists don't have somebody to fight, they'll find somebody to fight. And the Russians and the Chinese did exactly that at Korea, like you stated.
That's right. Well, when I left Korea, there was a woman Russian general standing on a pier counting us as we left so we didn't take any weapons out of Korea with us. We had to leave all our weapons there. And she was there watching everybody going as we were getting on the ships to go out to the big ships.
What?
When home, I didn't think we were going to make it because the ship started going around in circles. Because this steering wheel busted. They called the carpenter up to the bridge.
What type of ship were you on when you went over there? Was it one of the bigger destroyers?
Yeah, General William Weigel. That was the name of it. It was a troop ship.
So you didn't get the luxury stuff at a Missouri, right?
No. Well, I made a landing off a destroyer, though. Yeah.
What was the destroyer? What was the name?
Oh, that was 60 years ago. It was DD-95. That I remember. But that's all,
And
they were practicing landings, and as the destroyer was going, it was February. And February, Korea, it's very cold. And it was kept going under parallel with the beach, and we had to climb down the nets, get in the little Peter boats, and go ashore.
what was? Do you remember the last date? I'm sure you do. That you were actually left the service and actually came home. Do you remember the date?
When I left the service, it was in January 27th, 1954. But then I served 6 years of inactive reserves. That's right. So now I'm a life member of the Marine Corps League.
Well, once again, George, I want to tell you what an honor it is, and God bless you, and everything works out.
Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Not really. Just get out of Afghanistan or do the right thing and knock them out. That's all.
Thank you.
Please excuse my raspy voice because I can't do anything about it.
Understandable. Thank you.